a lot in my sleep. I've done it since I was a kid.
Okay.
I did fall out of my bunk bed when I was about 11 years old.
That's tough.
Fell out.
Top bunk? Bottom bunk?
Top bunk.
Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, boy.
Top bunk. Just woke up, was just on the floor, and I was like, okay. My mom heard it. Me hit the ground.
Was it painful?
Yeah, but just kind of just went back to bed at that point.
Interesting.
We had carpet in our bedroom at that point.
I ask because last night I did something I've never done before in
what's
my
that?
life. Something I've never experienced before. It was while I was falling asleep.
Oh, I've got a better story, but tell yours. I've got a better one.
I was falling asleep. I wasn't like completely asleep yet, but I woke up because I bit my tongue hard.
In your sleep?
Yeah, I have no idea why, but it woke me up immediately. I was like, ow! Holy smokes. Never had that happen before, but now I have tongue pain.
How did you bite your tongue while you were asleep?
I don't know, man.
Do you chew gum while you're sleeping or something?
No. I mean, I can't control the things I do in my sleep. This is why I asked. This is the nature of sleep. Unpredictable stuff can happen while you're asleep. Your body can do things that you're just completely unable to control or to affect.
I have been recorded talking in my sleep.
Oh, yeah.
By teammates on out-of-town trips. I have talked in my sleep before. Multiple times.
Yeah, I do that as well, or so my wife tells me.
I'm not a good sleeper.
Really?
No. I'm not a good sleeper at all.
Papa Boganowski already asking the important questions on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. What are the odds of another Parker crash out today?
That was hilarious.
I don't think there will be a crash out. But if you want to fire questions at us throughout the show pertinent to OU football and recruiting, please do so. 405-651-3439. That is the text line. That is where you can reach us. The show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, why not a GMC? GMC does offer some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. Dorsey Jones also offers fantastic service, reliable and friendly service technicians, half-price oil changes on Saturdays as well. So Dorsey Jones has you covered in every way out in El Reno. Make the drive out there. 405-651-3439. Once again, that's how you reach us on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Papa Boganowski doubled up and said, Parker was dreaming of eating a Runza.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what a Runza was, and I'm looking at it now.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like it could be good, but it also looks like, depending on where you get it from, it could be gross.
Yeah, so here's what you got to understand. This is something Nebraskans, which Mike Boganowski, the elder, is a Nebraskan just as I am, so he knows this.
Okay.
But there is the Runza, the food, and there is Runza, the restaurant. Now, Runza, the restaurant, serves Runzas, the food.
You would imagine.
But you can also obtain Runzas from places other than Runza. My mom, every single time I go home to Omaha, she will make homemade Runzas, which are leaps and bounds better than the Runzas that you can get at Runza, the restaurant.
Okay. I've never heard of that until today.
It's a big thing at Nebraska football games. You go to a Nebraska football game, it's kind of a rite of passage that you get yourself a Runza in the stadium. It's a Midwest thing, and most specifically, a Nebraska thing. We've gotten so many texts about this today, and I'm genuinely surprised. Seth in Piedmont says, y'all seen the video of Brian Harris singing on Twitter? I don't know where he sits in the rankings, but he's a 5-star musician. Yeah,
of course he can sing.
Yeah, he posted a video earlier today of him playing guitar and singing a country song with a caption, something along the lines of getting ready to be in Oklahoma. And he actually, yes, I knew he was a good music. I knew he was musically inclined. I didn't know he could sing like that. Dude's got some pipes. He's going to be very marketable when he gets to OU.
Yeah,
he'll make good NIL money.
He's going to be a fan. He's going to be a fan favorite here soon.
Tattoo Baker says he definitely can sing, unlike Grayson. Can you sing?
I can sing pretty decently.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have a karaoke show at some point. We'll save that for the off season, though.
Yeah.
We won't waste in-season time on that.
Tattoo Baker says, I'm calling BS. All right, cool.
What song are you going to sing when we do the karaoke
I
show?
don't know, but what genre do you want me to sing?
It's up to you. Where do you feel like your wheelhouse is?
Depending on the song, I can go back to me being Southern and do a little country.
Okay.
I'm not singing Hit Me Baby One More Time, Tattoo Baker. Hell no.
Okay. Well, moving right along. Back to our subject matter. Our listener in Kansas asks, now that Peyton Houston is off the board, give us a few names to know in 2027 at quarterback. Yeah, look, I don't know, and the OU staff doesn't quite know at this point which direction they're going to turn as they look for their next quarterback. Here's what I do know. They have a short list. They have some guys on the list that they will evaluate, some guys that they will study. They will come to a collective decision as to who they want to pursue. But if you look at some of the top quarterbacks in the country in the 2027 class right now, several of them are already off the board. Brady Edmonds committed to Ohio State, Jace Johnson committed to A&M, Peter Bork to Michigan, Trey Taylor to Nebraska. Of course, Trey Taylor he is the only other quarterback that at any point has held an offer from Oklahoma in the 27 class besides Peyton Houston. OU did offer Trey Taylor back in June of 2024, but thereafter they kind of went all in on Peyton Houston. That's how it had been ever since. Teddy Gerard committed to Notre Dame. Kareem Hughley committed to Clemson. Now, some guys that I would keep an eye on. We talked about a couple of them yesterday. Malachi Ziegler from Benton, Louisiana. There is an argument to be made that he is a higher ceiling guy than Peyton Houston because he has the one thing that Peyton Houston lacks, which is the prototypical quarterback frame. 6'3", in excess of 200 pounds, really, really well built, really muscular, powerful arm. He can push the ball downfield with ease. And he's somebody that, while I think Peyton Houston is easily the highest floor guy in the 2027 cycle, I think there are some guys that have a higher pure ceiling. Whether they reach that ceiling ultimately is an entirely different conversation. But there's a lot to like about Malachi Ziegler. I know you've covered him a little bit because he's a big-time target for SMU.
Yep.
So you got SMU, you got Baylor, and Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, yep.
As the three schools that have kind of been at the forefront of Malachi Ziegler's process. But he has visited Oklahoma, took an unofficial visit back in March, I believe. So he's familiar with the staff, familiar with campus. There is a relationship there. We'll see if Oklahoma has a prayer at this point. I mean, you would look at that short list of contenders and you'd say, okay, we'd take our odds against Baylor or against Mississippi State. SMU is a bit of a different beast because, for one thing, that program is quite objectively on an upward trajectory, coming off a college football playoff appearance, and also, they got money.
Yeah, as somebody who covers SMU, though, that fan base is not feeling all that good right now.
Really? Why is that?
Well, they blew that lead to Baylor a couple of weeks ago and lost in overtime, and then didn't really look that great against Missouri State. So the ACC looks completely upside down from where we thought it was going to be this year, given that Florida State's really good and Clemson is now out of the rankings. But SMU fans are not feeling the greatest right now. I still think they could be a good team. As it pertains to Malachi Ziegler, if y'all are not familiar with him, he's one of the more intriguing prospects. And Parker mentioned the big arm, the mobility. He's huge. And to me, this is a guy that at his best, I've made the comp to Anthony Richardson for him. And the reason I've made that comp is because big arm, highly mobile, huge, and fundamentally still a little raw. He's got a lot of fundamentals that he's going to have to get cleaned up and get developed, which is going to happen with reps. I think he can be, in that vein, I think he can be really, really good. But if the fundamentals don't get developed for him, he ultimately is not going to be that great. He's just going to be another big arm guy that can move around. So wherever he lands, he's going to have to be developed But outside of that, what you can already quantify is really, really good for Malachi Ziegler.
He has cleaned up his game a lot this offseason.
Yes.
I'll say that much.
Yes.
And I haven't really dug into the early junior year tape yet for Malachi Ziegler, but saw him several times throughout the offseason. And the mechanics needed to get sharper. The delivery needed to get quicker. He had a lot of imperfections in his game that you saw continual progress and improvement in over the course of the offseason. So I think the arrow's pointing up for him as a football player. It would not shock me if he were the first guy that Oklahoma were to kind of kick the tires on. Ben Arbuckle did an in-person eval on Weston Nielsen this past spring, Bastrop, Texas. And I believe the consensus right now is that he's going to wind up at Arizona State. Arizona State has kind of emerged as the early leader in his recruitment. But it stands to reason that if a school like Oklahoma got involved, he would have a lot more to consider at that point in time. But this is a 4-star kid, the number 20 quarterback in the nation right now, according to Rivals. And this would be really fun for me. There's a kid up in Omaha by the name of Braylon Warren, who's a 4-star in the 2027 cycle. 6'1", 203 pounds, state runner-up last year at Westside High School in Omaha. And he's the number 18 quarterback in the 2027 class, 4-star kid. The cool thing about this for me on a personal note is I have known this kid since he was 3-4 years old running around in the school cafeteria because
Of course you did.
his dad, Steve Warren, who was a member of, I believe, 2 national championship teams at Nebraska as a defensive tackle in the mid-'90s, he was the head football coach at my high school when I was a freshman. We overlapped for 1 year. He tried, gosh, I still remember, first day of school, he tried to get me to come out for the football team, and I told him, no, coach, I got to focus on baseball. And that was kind of what I did throughout all of high school. But have nonetheless had a really good relationship with his dad and his family for upwards of a decade now. And it's really cool to see how far he's come. He's got some big-time offers. He's got a Missouri offer. He's got a Tennessee offer. He's got a Florida State offer. There are a bunch of schools after his commitment. Nebraska, strangely, is not one of them. But I guess they just decided from a pretty early stage we're going to go after Trey Taylor. Trey Taylor's the guy we want. And to their credit, they went and got him. But that kind of creates an open floor for Braylon Warren. And so it'd be cool if Oklahoma were to get involved with him. I think he's a guy that could be a nice little scheme fit in Ben Arbuckle's system. We shall see. Jeff from OKC says, it's pronounced Bastrop. Is it? I don't know, folks. I'm from Nebraska.
I've never heard of this place.
All this Bastrop, Texas. I believe that's down in the Houston area, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, all these towns, all these regional pronunciations in the Mid-South, don't hold it against me, folks. I'm still learning as I go. Still got to remind myself that it's Altus and not Altus, because that's my reflex, is to say Altus.
It's closer to Austin, by the way.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe in Tulsa says, Richardson-type quarterbacks aren't good for Arbuckle's system. We need a guy that can push it down the field. Ward, Mateer, Bentley, etc. I don't want a quarterback throwing for 180 and running for 80. You will lose receiver recruits.
Well, hold on now. Hold on. Remember, the thing with Anthony Richardson was that he could push the ball down the field. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, Anthony Richardson, the thing that got him in trouble wasn't that he couldn't push the ball down the field. It's that he couldn't make easy throws, the easy short ones. And the Richardson comp for me is powerful arm and wonky fundamentals. Now, if he's cleaned up the fundamentals, boy, that makes me feel even better about Malachi Ziegler. And I haven't seen his tape from his first couple of weeks of this season. But, no, the thing with Richardson and anybody that's comp to him is that the arm is huge.
Drake Dyken just texted me and said Altus is the correct pronunciation.
Oh, I was about to say.
I'm so confused.
I've been to Altus like twice, and everybody there has pronounced it Altus.
So it is Altus.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I'm trying to lock this into my head right now.
Yeah, I pronounced it Altus when I first saw it, and then everybody that lived up in the area was like, no, it's Altus. I was like, okay, cool.
Saving file to memory. Altus. 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 Okay.
Okay,
I think I've got
don't
it
do
down
that.
I think I've got it down, Pat. Keep hitting us up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. More of your recruiting questions will be answered on the other side. And we will discuss an emerging predicament for Oklahoma as it pertains to offensive line depth. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We shall return.
Dusty Dvorak here. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
Where do Oklahoma sports fans go to watch the big game? Gridiron Sports Bar at River Spirit Casino Resort in Tulsa. With multiple viewing screens and a huge LED wall, you'll never miss a play. Enjoy bar-top gaming, Top Golf swing suites, delicious game day food and drinks, and a VIP lounge for top-tier players. Gridiron Sports Bar takes sports fans to another viewing level. Gridiron Sports Bar, Tulsa's fan favorite.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money, they're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress, we'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
It's more than a golf tournament. It's a chance to change lives. The St. Jude Oklahoma Golf Classic, presented by Bob Moore Infinity, is coming to Oklahoma City on October 20th. Tee off with us and support groundbreaking research and care for kids fighting cancer, where families never receive a bill. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Visit stjude.org/OKGolfClassic to sign up or become a sponsor. Whether you're swinging a club or sponsoring a hole, you're making a difference. Sign up now at stjude.org/OKGolfClassic.
Hey, this is OEC Fiber. Tired of contracts, hidden fees, and support calls that send you halfway around the world? At OEC Fiber, what you see is what you get. No contracts, no fine print. Just fast, reliable internet that's backed by a local support team that picks up when you call. You're not just an account of us, you're our neighbor. So ditch the gimmicks and get fiber internet that's honest. Visit OECfiber.com to check availability. OEC Fiber, internet that puts its people first.
Oklahoma is rife with high school talent, and KREFSports.tv is the way to see them all before they head to the next level. From OU softball commit Keegan Baker to Washington football commit Mason James, KREFSports.tv brings you the best of Oklahoma 6A sports with the best broadcasters in the state. With softball, volleyball, and now football season ongoing, tap into KREFSports.tv, the best high school sports coverage in Oklahoma.
Oh my Nosh, look at that view, and the food too. Come see us at Nosh on the Green at the Jimmy Austin Golf Club. We're open to the public and open at 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday through Sunday, as well as game days. Come by and make us a part of your game day tradition and take it up a notch. Event spaces are available through the Jimmy Austin Golf Club or call 405-630-8267. Nosh at the Green at the Jimmy Austin Golf Club in Norman, your game day headquarters.
It's locked in here on the Ref. The home of Sooner fans, Parker, Thune, Grayson, Singleton. So, Troy Everett's out for the season. Brent Venables.
That's not good.
Brent Venables dropped that bit of news on us at the press conference earlier today. Of course, Everett had not traveled to the Temple game over the weekend. If you're a member at OUinsider.com, as we'd reported over there several days ago, he was looking at an extended absence, and it appears now via Venables' confirmation that he is just going to be out for the remainder of the season and will not play the rest of the way for Oklahoma. And this presents, Mr. Singleton, a very interesting, I don't even know whether it is a predicament, but it creates a very unpleasant hypothetical for the Sooners, because if at any point Jake Michaela has to miss so much as a single snap, feels like you're scrambling. Because second on the depth chart right now, behind Michaela, is true freshman Owen Hollenbeck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Owen Hollenbeck's going to be a good player. It's a lot to ask and expect of a true freshman for him to rise from third string on the depth chart and suddenly find himself taking snaps, or I should say snapping the ball against SEC opponents on Saturdays. And so it begs the question, what is Oklahoma going to do to try and solidify the depth at center behind Michaela? And it doesn't feel like something you hit the panic button over, because your starter is still healthy. Your starter is healthy. Jake Michaela is the guy at center. And kind of feels a little bit miraculous, doesn't it, that Jim Nagy and the new brain trust at Oklahoma made the decision to go add another interior offensive lineman at the end of the spring portal window? Because if you don't add Jake Michaela, boy, what does this scenario look like right now?
I mean, you're looking at basically possibly sliding Fabechi over to center.
And that, to me, that right there is probably the most likely outcome, is that you start to see Fabechi Wee-Woo take some practice reps at center and essentially become your emergency guy,
yes,
if you will. Because, I mean, the long and short of it, the harsh reality is Owen Hollenbeck, I don't know whether the program regards him as ready. I don't know whether the staff regards him as ready. And that's fine. He's a true freshman. I mean, I know for a fact that guys like Logan Howland and Heath Ozida weren't necessarily regarded as ready by the coaching staff at the beginning of last season. Well, guess what? They had to get ready. And to their credit, both Howland and Ozida, upon being thrown into the fire, started to play some pretty good football for Oklahoma at a certain point. So, it's not to say that if he were called upon in an emergency situation, Hollenbeck couldn't be serviceable for Oklahoma. But that's not a position, naturally, that you're all too eager to be in if you're Oklahoma and you're this coaching staff. And so Fabechi Wee-Woo, I don't know if he's ever actually snapped in a game before. I know he has taken reps at center on the practice field for Oklahoma in the past. I know that's not a new thing for him. And so if you want to know, if your question is who the emergency center would be, the answer in my mind would be Fabechi Wee-Woo. I'm kind of intrigued by the possibility of getting Eddie Pierre-Louis some reps at center, because I know that's happened in the past.
Yes, it has.
As well.
Yeah.
And he's a guy where, he starts the first game of the season at left guard for Oklahoma, coming off a really, really impressive surge throughout fall camp, and he was neck and neck with Heath Ozida, and he got the start in week 1. Ozida got the start in week 2, but feels like at this point, Eddie Pierre-Louis, if you are in a situation where you have to have snaps from somebody other than Michaela at center, you could do a lot worse than Eddie Pierre-Louis, based on what we've seen from him to this point.
Yeah, you can. To me, this is a symptom of a much bigger problem, though. Jacob Sexton is down for the foreseeable future. We'll see how long that absence extends. Derek Simmons did not start the first game. Michael Fasusi missed the most recent game. So what am I getting at here? It seems like we're going down this merry-go-round again, like we did last year, where we're unable to have the same starting five game in and game out. And now that we're going into SEC play, just look at the run of defensive lines that you're going to have to go up against. Auburn's is good, not world beaters, but Auburn's is good.
Sure.
They will present a challenge. They've got at least 2 guys that can present a challenge. Texas is coming up 2 games from now. Texas's defensive line might be the best part of their team. Alabama's defensive line, no scrub. LSU's defensive line, well, that whole defense came to play this past weekend. South Carolina still has Dylan Stewart on that side of the ball. So you're going up against a ton of defensive lines who have a lot to throw at you and present a challenge. You need to have that continuity on the offensive line. And at this point, I don't know from that standpoint if Oklahoma can survive another one of these injuries, because we're now 3 games in and we still haven't played with the same 5 offensive line that we thought it was going to be before the regular season started.
That is true. Now, that offensive line that started against Michigan, played the entire game against Michigan, that unit performed well.
They did.
Against a really strong Michigan front.
Yes.
And so if it is that same starting 5 this weekend, which is what I expect, assuming no hiccups for Fasusi, then, okay, you're starting to establish some continuity at that point. I mean, you had 4 of the 5 same starters in the Temple game as you did in the Michigan game. The only change, the only alteration was it was Logan Howland, as Oklahoma decided to give Fasusi a rest week. So it was Logan Howland at left tackle. But it feels like Oklahoma's on the verge of establishing some real continuity moving forward. They've got to keep everyone healthy. They've got to hope everyone stays healthy. Now, I will say this as well. It's been encouraging to see guys like Logan Howland and Luke Baklenko get a good deal of run through 3 weeks, because those are 2 guys that they're both swing tackles, right? They both can play either left tackle or right tackle. So that creates some flexibility, and I think diminishes the level of concern if you were to lose either Fasusi or Simmons, knock on wood. And then if you happen to lose somebody on the interior, you have Eddie Pierre-Louis sitting there. Not just Eddie Pierre-Louis, but most notably Eddie Pierre-Louis sitting there on the second string that can give you something. And Ryan Foje's in that conversation as well. So if Jake Michaela stays healthy, like, it feels like to me that is the one thing that could really throw things in limbo for Oklahoma on the offensive line, would be an injury to Michaela. As long as that doesn't happen, it feels like Oklahoma is okay. Maybe it's not ideal right now, but they're okay. You're not panicking, not fretting over the state of this offensive line, as long as Michaela is healthy.
4-star Kadam in the 918 says, "We all know injuries are a part of football, but so is recovery. Why does it seem our players are never able to get back healthy? I once saw an LSU quarterback break his collarbone, and he missed all of 6 plays. Has modern medicine not hit Norman yet? What gives?"
I mean, on that note, K-Dub did get Kendall Dolby back last week, a little bit ahead of schedule as well. Kendall Dolby made his return to the field. By the way, Kendall Dolby looks great physically. Like, he looks like he's put on some mass. I don't know if
he did look bigger.
Yeah, I don't know if that was as evident on the broadcast as it was there in person. But
no, he looked bigger.
Yeah, the immediate thought I had looking at Kendall Dolby was, whoa, that dude's muscled up.
Yeah.
Wasn't the first time we've seen him this offseason, but it hits a little different when a guy's in full pads in the uniform.
Right.
Like,
How did you think he looked on the field?
I thought he looked fine.
That is the exact word. That is the exact word I was going to use.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It was Temple. Far be it from me to rush to judgment on a guy in his first game back in nearly a year, and he's going up against the Temple Owls.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he looked fine.
No, yeah, that's what I thought. Like, cool.
Victoria wants to know what happened with Troy Everett. He's one of our captains. Is he completely out of the organization? No, Victoria, he's not completely out of the organization. I mean, Brent Venables gave it up. He gave Troy Everett his flowers in the press conference earlier today. He said, look, he's a captain. He's a tremendous leader for this football team. He's just going to have to find other ways to lead now that he's out for the season.
Yeah,
so
he's hurt.
Yeah, it's a knee injury. I believe Brent Venables said it is the same knee that Everett injured last offseason, i.e. that would have been March of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. So, obviously, he will qualify for a medical waiver that will enable him to play another year of college football. The question, I guess, that kind of creates is he still at Oklahoma in 2026? Because Jake Michaela has another year of eligibility. So it kind of feels like both of those guys, it's kind of got to be one or the other in 26.
Yeah.
You know, if they're both trying to get to the NFL, if they're both trying to get themselves in position to go play in the league, then you can't be a backup last season in college football. So
Did Brent not say it was the opposite knee?
did he say it was the opposite knee?
That's what I thought he said.
Okay. Because that's what – yeah, okay. I couldn't remember whether he caught himself on saying it was the same knee or whether it was the opposite knee, because I think initially he said it was the same knee, or I'm sorry, the opposite knee, same injury as last year. So, yeah, that's what it was. Same injury, other knee. Thank you, text line, for confirming.
Speaking of people looking bigger, two-star Puerto Rican Sooner says, who gave Ryan Foje the Devon Mitchell diet? He looks huge and sluggish.
I don't think he looks sluggish.
He does look big. He does look very huge, though.
Yeah, again, that's a big boy.
Again, very evident on the TV broadcast.
Uh-huh. That's a big boy right there. I mean, that's a boy that's bulked up to play guard. Fasusi and Foje were very, very similarly built coming out of high school. They had I think Fasusi was actually even a little bit heavier than Foje. But, yeah, you have seen Foje put on quite a bit more mass, and I think it's more conducive to the position that he plays, right? Ideally, you want your guards to be a little bit wider than your tackles. And Foje moves really, really well and has good feet at the size that he is playing at these days, the weight that he's playing at. So, yeah, Ryan Foje, if his number is called the rest of the way at any point for Oklahoma, feel good about him. Feel good about him and Eddie Pierre-Louis as your backup guards. And if you're in a position where you got to slide Weewu to center and throw in EPL or Foje, don't think it's a lost cause by any means. A 405 listener says, Gabe says he's too big. Interesting.
I will say this. Gone are the days for the most part, and I think Jake Michaela is a really good example of this. Gone are the days where the offensive linemen are just straight up fat.
Yes.
And there are and there are some and there are instances on TV, and actually when I was in the building for the Illinois State game too, and Ryan Foje does look fat. A little bit.
I had to let that comment ring in my ears for a second. Ryan Foje does look fat.
I mean, it stands out. It does stand out a little bit more than what linemen are typically looking like these days.
Yeah.
To the texture's credit.
He's listed at 322. That is big. I didn't realize he was 320. That is big.
I would have guessed he was a little bit more.
Really?
Just based on how he looks.
Yeah, I mean,
from afar.
And obviously, Gabe is certainly someone worth listening to, particularly when it comes to offensive line. I don't know that anybody can break down offensive line play better than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've gotten the sense Ryan Foje is too big necessarily, but is he certainly a step slower than he was when he was a 275-pound right tackle in high school? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There were some plays on tape in that Illinois State game specifically where, to me, it wasn't as much he looked slow as more that he didn't really know where he was going, what he was doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so he's not the player he's going to be next year or 2 years from now or 3 years from now. I think he's in a fine place.
Which one are you laughing at?
Oh, man. Hawaiian Sooner says, Parker, is it really noticeable to you from field level how much more muscled up the roster is compared to the P90X days? Yes, Hawaiian Sooner. Is it not obvious? Like, I would hope it's obvious to everyone that this team is significantly bigger and more muscular than they were during the Lincoln Riley days. I mean, you got to keep in mind, This was an actual rule. This was an actual rule that the coaching staff instituted in the Alex Grinch days. Defensive linemen could not weigh more than 295 pounds.
For what reason?
Speed D. That was Alex Grinch's whole thing. That was his whole brand. Speed D. If you go back and you look at that roster, the 2021 football roster, what you will find is that there is not a single defensive lineman listed at over 295 pounds because that was the cap that they put on it. They said you are not bulking up past 295. That is the limit. Now you look at the roster these days, and I mean, pretty much every single one of those defensive tackles, with the exception of Grayson Halton, is north of 295. A bunch of 300-plus pound big boys down there in the trenches.
There's not often that I'm at a loss for words, but I don't know how. I don't know why you would institute a rule like that.
I found myself saying that about a lot of the things that Alex Grinch did during his time here. I don't know why.
I'm glad I'm not the only
I don't
one.
know why XYZ. That was a very common sentiment regarding the Alex Grinch era at Oklahoma. Sooner Fish says, didn't have fat shaming on my locked-in bingo card. WTF.
Really? Really? We're talking football here.
405 listener says, Parker, never say the word speed D ever again. I'm sorry to conjure up bad memories.
He said it out loud. He said it out loud.
Kyle and Broken Bow. Speed D is a blazing fast way to lose an effing football game. They did do a lot of that. Actually, they didn't do a lot of that.
No, they didn't.
They won a lot of football games.
I mean, look, granted, their
important
defense was capable of losing a lot of football games, but Oklahoma won a lot of football games in the Lincoln Riley, Alex Grinch era.
Yeah, if they didn't have generationally elite offensive play, they would have lost a lot of football games. They lost a lot of football games once they got to USC and no longer had generationally elite offensive play. The post-Caleb Williams era was not kind to Alex Grinch.
3-star Glenn from Nashville says, I know we're talking O-lineman, but Grayson's comment made me think about David Stone. I thought he looked a little like he had some fat last year. After his first full year with Smitty, he's looking very much like Tommy Harris.
Interesting. See, I would have said just the opposite.
I would have too.
David Stone didn't have quite enough mass last year, in my opinion. I think he was playing at like 290. And I don't know what his weight is right now, but preseason they had him listed at 313.
He looks substantially bigger than he did last year.
And he's played well through 3 weeks.
And he moves so well and has played awesome. It's an interesting comp with David Stone and Ryan Foje.
Yeah. David Stone's played good ball through 3 weeks, man.
Yeah.
That entire defensive tackle group has as well. And it's flown under the radar, I think, mostly because contributions from defensive tackles don't always show up in the box score, don't always show up statistically speaking, but Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, David Stone, certainly Grayson Halton as well, who was that close to having a pick six on Saturday. That close. All those guys have been really, really solid so far. That's part of the reason I think the going will be quite tough for Auburn on Saturday, is because you can't have Jackson Arnold run straight through the heart of the defense like you could against Baylor. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. One more segment of Locked In is on the other side. Keep it here in the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. Shop our Vahan Trunk Show this Thursday, September 18th from 10 to 4. This is your opportunity to shop an expanded collection plus many retired pieces at substantial savings. Save 20% on all current styles and 40% off retired styles. If you wear Vahan, come in and add to your collection. And if you don't, then come on in and see why it's a wish list favorite. Vahan is exclusively at Mitchell's Jewelry at 2201 West Main in Norman.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Plumbing and air conditioning problems seem to happen at the worst time. Hey, it's Chris Plank here. And a while back when we had a plumbing issue at our home, our first call was to Norman Air. The team at Norman Air was great. From upfront pricing to alerts before the tech arrived. The whole experience from start to finish was great. With financing available to their Max membership and servicing from North Edmond all the way south to Purcell, Norman Air is the go-to for HVAC, plumbing, and electrical issues. Visit normanair.com today.
Josh Helmer here, co-host of the Yarinoka Show and part of your Sooner Game Day coverage here at the Ref. Catch us every Sooner Game Day as we take a deep dive into the Sooners matchup for the week, leading up to and after the game. Whether the Sooners are playing at the Palace or anywhere across the country, there's no better way to listen than by tuning in on the KREF app. Apple or Android, it doesn't matter. Just search for KREF in your app store and never miss a second of the Ref's Game Day coverage. That's the KREF app to take the home of Sooner fans anywhere you go in the world.
Drive in the fall event at Seth Wiley Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram in Pauls Valley for September to remember. First, we're going to give you over-market value for your trade. From now until the end of the month, get a new 2025 Ram Light Duty at 0% interest for 72 months and 2026 Ram Light Duties at 0% interest for 60 months. And remember, we have a huge selection of new Jeep and gas Rams, all priced to sell during the September to Remember drive into fall event. Oh, and if you have any challenges, just ask for me, Joseph Dabrowski, General Manager, to help your visit be one of the best you'll have anywhere. And there's always peace of mind when you can get to school on time with Seth spending over $24 million and counting on a promise. Tell him, Seth.
That's my promise of oil changes and engines for life on newer used gas or diesel at no additional cost to you.
So get to the store with more at Seth Wiley Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, I-35, exit 72 in Pauls Valley, or click SethWileyDodge.com.
0% APR for 60 months on all 2026 Ram 1500s, excludes RHOs. Most finance with Stellantis offering September 30th, 2025.
My fiance is a veteran.
I did tours in Korea, Germany, and Bosnia before I got injured.
When Yusuf got out of the military, he needed help getting his disability benefits.
Luckily, DAV came to the rescue. They fought for me the same way that I fought for my country.
Every year, DAV provides life-changing support to more than 1 million veterans.
My victory is never giving up and finding more ways to serve.
He's pretty amazing.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
(405-651-3439) is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. If you want to interact with the show here on Locked In, Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you on a beautiful Tuesday in God's country, Norman, America. Shay in Kansas on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line asks, we getting in on any UCLA decommits? Tackle spot, maybe? See, I will say, for anybody that is not closely monitoring, for any OU recruiting fanatic that is not closely monitoring the implosion of UCLA's 2026 class in the aftermath of Deshaun Foster's dismissal, you should be, and here's why. Oklahoma hired a new director of player personnel back in May, a fellow by the name of Stacy Ford. Where did they hire him from?
UCLA.
The University of California at Los Angeles. Yes, indeed. So, there's a connection, a significant connection, between Oklahoma and all of the guys that decommitted. Now, one guy that OU did offer before he committed to UCLA, one guy that the Sooner staff did recruit prior to his commitment was Johnny Jones, 4-star offensive tackle from the state of Florida. Arguably the crown jewel of UCLA's class. He very quickly announced his decommitment Saturday after Foster was fired. So, that's a name that's worth watching. I think it's also worth keeping an eye on anybody and everybody that is part of USC's class or was part of USC's class at a position where Oklahoma is still seeking to add depth. Wide receiver certainly springs to mind. Oklahoma has just 2 wide receiver commits in Daniel Odom and Xavier Okafuleze. Linebacker also comes to mind. Oklahoma has just 2 linebacker commits in Bo Jandro and Ja'Cory Smith. On that note, Grayson, the Sooners are hosting 2 official visitors this weekend. Jacob Curry, the now 4-star linebacker out of St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And Braden Allen, the 3-star Tulane wide receiver commit out of Lafayette Christian Academy in Lafayette, Louisiana. Now, I've long said I like Oklahoma's odds to pull off both of those flips. Matters got a little bit more complicated yesterday because Jacob Curry picked up an offer from the Ohio State University.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, he's had Miami pushing for him.
Mm-hmm.
I give Oklahoma the edge over Miami. But with that so fresh, we'll have to see. I'm not saying Ohio State is definitely a serious player, nor am I saying they are not. It's too early to make that determination. But a kid gets an offer like Ohio State at this point in his process, 3 months until signing day. That dynamic, that storyline is going to be worth paying attention to if you're an OU fan. Because, yes, Curry is going to take the OV to Norman this weekend. Yes, he does have some ties to the Sooner State. But Ohio State is Ohio State. So you can't discount their presence in this recruitment. Real opportunity, though, for Oklahoma to, in an ideal world, solidify their status as the front runner for both of those kids this weekend, if not just outright lock them down.
Yeah, you very well could. And Ohio State, excellent linebacker play as of late. They've got a defensive coordinator who, don't let his last stint as a head coach in the NFL fool you. Really, really good defensive mind in Matt Patricia. They've got really good athletic linebackers this year. So Ohio State's not to be summarily dismissed here. But if you're Oklahoma, look, you were first to the party, and with the timing of how the Oklahoma offer came, the decommitment from Northwestern followed for Jacob Curry, you should, with a good performance, especially defensively, you should be able to make a lasting impression that'll make him lock it down. And by the way, if there's anything we know about Jackson Arnold from yesteryear, he'll give you an opportunity to take the ball away. So you can get those linebackers that take the ball away a couple times. You get to really showcase what that position room that he could be joining can really do, have them make some entertaining plays. Who knows? Maybe this gets locked down before Ohio State can really gain any traction.
East Texas Sooner on the text line says, just wait on Billy Napier's dismissal. Now, worth noting, right, there are 3 guys that were major OU targets that are currently in Florida's signing class.
Mm-hmm.
Or I shouldn't say signing class. They are currently verbally committed to the University of Florida. You have Davian Gross, the 4-star athlete from Frisco Lone Star that Oklahoma was recruiting as a wide receiver. You have KJ Ford, the 4-star defensive end from Duncanville, Texas. You also had Desmond Green, 4-star interior offensive lineman from the state of South Carolina. That, to me, that might present even more intrigue than Ford and Gross because, as I have expressed, I think Gross would have to be the one to reinitiate contact with Oklahoma based on how things were left there in the final hours of that recruitment. I don't know that Oklahoma would go out of their way to try and reel Davian Gross back into, or I shouldn't say back into, but try to reel him into the fold if Billy Napier were fired. And I don't know where on earth KJ Ford signs. I truly don't know. And that's regardless of whether Billy Napier gets fired or not. I have no idea where KJ Ford signs. That recruitment is and always has been all over the place. And so I'm not sure how you can have any degree of true confidence, even if he does wind up decommitting, that he's going to land at Oklahoma in the end. But Desmond Green? Don't get it twisted. OU finished second in the Desmond Green recruitment. They were right there with Florida. And so if at any point it was no longer the Gators for Desmond Green, I would think, provided Oklahoma is ready and willing to reengage, they'd stand a pretty good chance. Now, we'll have to see how Oklahoma approaches the remainder of the 2026 cycle when it comes to offensive line, because I know they would like to take another tackle. I don't know for a fact that they would like to take another guard. It might be one of those scenarios where, and I have had this conversation with a very well-placed source on the matter who has said, OU will take another cornerback if he's good enough. If they find a guy that they just absolutely can't say no to, then they'll take another cornerback. It might be that type of situation at guard where they're not necessarily looking to take one just to take one, but if there's one that's a for sure all day long take that comes available, which based on the opinion of Desmond Green that was held inside the Switzer Center this spring and early summer, I would think that's the case. But we'll have to see how that unfolds.
Does the fact that, and I know Oklahoma wanted him to play center, but the fact that Will Conroy ended up committing to North Carolina, does that play a factor into whether or not they would go after Desmond Green?
No, because the new plan is they want Noah Best to play center. I may have mentioned that
You
before.
did mention that, yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't immediately clear when they took Noah Best whether they were going to try to shoehorn him into the guard pathway or the center pathway or both. Right now, the vision is for Noah Best to play center at Oklahoma. And so...
But that does slide him away from guard, though.
It does slide him away from guard. I don't know where that necessarily leaves things between Oklahoma and Desmond Green. If that path ever reopens, obviously the prerequisite is he would have to decommit from Florida. He would have to be back on the open market. But if nothing else, Oklahoma feels like they got two absolute stallions in their offensive line class right now in Deacon Schmidt and Noah Best. So it's a great foundation. If that's the class, I think it's a good class. It's a thin class, but a good one nonetheless. If you were to go out and grab somebody like Johnny Jones at tackle or like Desmond Green at guard and or center to round it out, I think at that point it's a great class. All right, let's hit one or two more texts here on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Boomer Bryce said, Diego Pavia's attorney just filed for a 7th year of eligibility for Diego.
Yeah, that did happen.
Diego got on Twitter and said, forget it, this is my last year of college football. So I don't know what his lawyer had in mind, but Diego Pavia, if he is to be taken at his word, does not intend to play college football next year.
At some point, you got to be sick of being in college, right?
And at some point, you got to be sick of lawsuits. I know I am. Feels like every single month there's a new lawsuit challenging XYZ.
And you're just covering it.
I know. Some new lawsuit seemingly crops up every single month that's designed to alter the landscape of college athletics and eligibility standards and what have you.
Here comes the crash out.
No crash out today. We've run out of time. There is not enough margin left for me to crash out. I will leave the crash out potential on the table for Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman because they have the next 3 hours here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. We will do it all again tomorrow. Same time, same place. The Rush is coming up next.